I found out my husband was cheating because my mother-in-law accidentally airdropped me a photo of him kissing another woman. The weirdest part? She didn't send it by mistake. She sent it as proof that I needed to get over my paranoia because it's just a friendly hug and I was reading too much into things. Except it very clearly wasn't a hug. It was my husband, Mark, with his hands on some woman's waist, kissing her in front of a hotel bar I'd never been to, wearing the shirt I bought him for our anniversary. I was sitting on the couch with our 3-year-old daughter Lily, watching cartoons when the photo popped up on my phone, a random airdrop named Linda's iPhone. I accepted out of habit, thinking it was maybe a document from work. Instead, that image filled my screen and my stomach dropped. I stared at it for a full minute, trying to convince myself I was misunderstanding. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was edited. Maybe that wasn't him. Then my phone buzzed again. You see? Completely innocent. You need to stop accusing my son of things. You're going to ruin your marriage if you keep this up. That's when I knew 2 things at the exact same time. My husband was cheating on me. His mother knew, and she was helping him hide it. I didn't reply. I just took a screenshot of the photo, saved it to a private folder, and put my phone face down. Lily tugged on my sleeve and asked for more juice. I got up, poured her a cup, and pretended my life hadn't just exploded. What I didn't realize yet was how deep the betrayal actually went. So, some context. I'm 29F. My husband, Mark, is 31M. We've been together for 7 years, married for 4. We have 1 kid together, Lily, 3F. I work as a medical receptionist part-time and handle most of the childcare. Mark works in IT for a mid-sized company and has always been the career guy, which I supported because he made more money and we agreed it made sense, especially when I was pregnant. My mother-in-law, Linda, 58F, has always been a lot. From day one, she treated Mark like he was the second coming. He could do no wrong. My son is so smart. My son is so handsome. My son deserves the best. You get the idea. At first, it was just overbearing and annoying. Over time, it became suffocating. When I got pregnant, she inserted herself into everything. Doctor's appointments she happened to be free for, opinions about what I should and shouldn't eat, comments about how I was letting myself go when I started showing. When Lily was born, she criticized how I held her, how I fed her, how I dressed her. If Lily cried, it was because Mommy's anxious energy is upsetting her. If Lily calmed down with Mark, it was, see, she can sense a stronger presence. Mark would roll his eyes when she left and say, that's just how she is. Don't take it personally. If I pushed back more, he'd say I was being too sensitive, that she means well. I tried to let it go. I didn't grow up with a big family, so I told myself this was just what close families were like. Loud, over-involved, opinionated. We bought a small starter house 3 years into our marriage. We didn't have a huge down payment, so guess who generously offered to help? Linda. It came with strings, obviously. She wanted to be on the paperwork. Since it was a large sum of money, Mark framed it as, she's just protecting herself, babe. You know how she is. At the time, I was exhausted from working and taking care of Lily and just wanted a house. I skimmed the documents more than I should have. I trusted my husband. I trusted that if his mom was helping, it was still ultimately our house. Technically, the mortgage was in Mark's name. The family loan from Linda was documented as a separate agreement. I didn't fully realize until later how much power that gave her. The first real signs of cheating started about a year ago. At first, it was small stuff. Mark started working later. Extra projects, server issues, clients in different time zones. He was suddenly too tired to help with bedtime, too drained to go out on weekends. He was glued to his phone more. It was always flipped over. I noticed, of course. I asked him about it a few times. Each time, he had a reasonable explanation. A server really did go down once. He showed me the company's Slack. Another time, he was actually on a Zoom call when I tried to call him. So I told myself I was being paranoid. Then he started getting defensive over nothing. I'd ask, "What time will you be home tonight?" And he'd snap, "Why are you always on my back?" If I said, "Can you put your phone away during dinner?" he'd sigh dramatically and say, "I can't just unplug like you. People depend on me." He started sleeping with his phone under his pillow. That's when my brain really started screaming. One night, after he'd fallen asleep, his phone buzzed. I froze. It buzzed again, then a third time. I could see the screen glow faintly, but not the text. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like it would wake him. I didn't look. I just lay there with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, thinking if I look and there's something, everything changes. If I don't look, maybe I can pretend a little longer. I chose pretending. That's how deep in denial I was. Around the same time, Linda ramped up her usual commentary. "You know, men need to feel trusted," she said one afternoon while helping me fold laundry. "If you nag too much or question them, they start to feel emasculated. Then they pull away. It's just how they are." I hadn't even said anything to her about my worries. Not directly. She always had weirdly specific opinions that lined up perfectly with whatever I was anxious about. At the time, I just thought she was being her usual intrusive self. Now I know Mark was venting to her, and she was fully on his side. The money stuff started getting strange too. We had a joint account for bills and groceries, and a small savings account we'd built up over time, mostly from my tax returns and leftover salary from when I worked full-time before Lily. The family emergency fund, we called it. One day I logged in and noticed a big withdrawal from savings, $2,500. I asked Mark about it. He said, "Oh yeah, sorry. I should have told you. Work sent me to a conference and they reimbursed me after. I used our savings for the hotel and flights. The reimbursement hasn't hit yet. It'll be fine in a few days." He sounded casual enough. I was annoyed he hadn't mentioned it, but it wasn't totally unreasonable. 2 weeks later, I checked again. No reimbursement. I asked him. He said, "They're backed up. Accounting is a mess right now. I'll follow up." I believed him, mostly, but a little part of my brain filed it away and went, "That's weird, though." That little file cabinet in my brain started filling up over the next few months. Random Uber charges, restaurant transactions nowhere near his office, a hotel charge for a place downtown. When I asked, he laughed and said, "We had an office party. I crashed there instead of driving home tired. I told you that." He hadn't. Then came the airdrop from Linda. The day she sent the picture, Mark was working late. It was a Thursday. He'd been gone since 7 a.m. By 8 p.m., I was sitting on the couch with Lily, trying to keep my eyes open, when my phone buzzed with the airdrop request. I've already described the photo, but here are the small details that made it undeniably him. Same dark blue shirt I bought him, same watch, same haircut, same stupid little scar on his jaw from when he wiped out on his bike in college. He wasn't just in the background of some group shot. He was the main subject, front and center, kissing a woman with long dark hair and a red dress. His hands were on her waist. Her hands were on his chest. They looked very comfortable with each other. Behind them, I could see a hotel logo on the wall. Not one his company ever used for conferences. I felt this weird calm spread through me. Like my brain went, "Okay, here it is. You're not crazy. It's real." Then Linda's text came in about it being innocent and just a hug. That's when I understood I was not just dealing with a cheating husband. I was dealing with a whole little team. I didn't respond to her. I waited. About half an hour later, Mark texted me, "Running late, grabbing a drink with the guys after work." I looked at the clock, 8:34 p.m. I looked at the picture again. Behind him, in the corner, I could see a wall clock in the hotel bar, 8:12 p.m. That pretty much killed any last bit of denial I had. I put Lily to bed. I kissed her forehead and tucked her in like nothing was wrong. Then I went back to the living room, sat on the floor with my laptop, and started quietly blowing up my life. The first thing I did was back up everything I could think of. Screenshots of Linda's texts. Screenshots of our bank accounts, especially the withdrawals I didn't recognize. Photos of Mark's work schedule that he'd left on the fridge. I went into his tablet, which he never bothered to password protect, and found his email logged in. I didn't snoop through everything yet. I just noted that I had access, then logged out, so I wouldn't accidentally trip something. I emailed myself copies of anything that looked even mildly important from our financial docs folder. House agreements, the loan paperwork from Linda, our marriage certificate, Lily's birth certificate scan. Then I opened a private browsing window and searched Family Law Attorney Free Consultation, my city. Within 30 minutes, I had an appointment for the next afternoon. I told the receptionist I needed advice about potential cheating and finances. She didn't sound surprised. I slept maybe 3 hours that night. When Mark came home around 11:30 p.m., he smelled like a mix of cologne and hotel soap. He kissed my forehead, mumbled, "Long day," and fell into bed. I lay there, eyes open, listening to him snore, thinking, you have no idea what's coming. The next day, I told him I was taking Lily to my mom's on the other side of town and would be gone for a few hours. I actually dropped Lily at my mom's, then went to the lawyer. I was brutally honest with her. I showed her the photo. I showed her my notes on the weird transactions. I told her about the house situation with Linda. She was calm and methodical. She told me cheating doesn't automatically change everything legally, but it can matter in negotiations, especially with finances. The house being in Mark's name and the loan from Linda didn't mean I had no claim, especially since I'd contributed financially and as a caregiver. I should not confront him yet, not until I had more information and a plan. I should keep gathering evidence quietly. She also told me to stop using the joint account for anything I didn't want him seeing and to open my own separate checking account. She said, "You don't have to decide today if you're divorcing him, but you should prepare like you might." On the way home, I sat in my car for a solid 5 minutes just breathing. It was weirdly empowering. For the first time in months, I felt less crazy and more in control. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the dumb wife while secretly building my case. I went through his tablet when he was in the shower. I found hotel confirmations, rideshare receipts, and a separate email thread with a Jess C. from his office. The subject line on one thread read, "Can't wait to see you again." I didn't need to read the whole thing to know what it was, but I did anyway. It was mostly flirting and logistics. I'll tell her I'm at a team dinner. We can use the conference excuse. Mom knows I'm staying downtown. That last part made me stop. He'd written, "Mom knows I'm staying downtown." I scrolled further back. There it was. An email from Linda to Mark with the subject "Re-Hotel," forwarding a confirmation. She'd booked them a room. She wrote, "I put it on my card so it doesn't raise any red flags at home. Just pay me back later. Make sure you're smarter than your father was." I had to read that line 3 times. Not only did she help him cheat, she threw in a weird dig at his dad, who'd left her years ago after cheating on her. The hypocrisy would have been funny if I hadn't been shaking with anger. I screenshotted everything and sent it to my private email. I found more proof in our banking app. The 2,500 conference was another hotel plus dinners and shopping, all over a weekend when he'd told me he was visiting a client site. Linda had paid for some of it. He'd paid her back from our savings. I also checked our credit card rewards portal. There were photos from a surprise trip the card company attached to receipts. One was literally him and Jess at the same hotel bar as the airdrop photo, just from a different angle. By the end of 2 weeks, I had emails between him and the affair partner, email from Linda coordinating the hotel, bank records showing money taken from our savings, photo evidence, his lies to me about where he was on specific dates. The lawyer told me I had more than enough to negotiate from a strong position. "Now," she said, "you have to decide what you want. Do you want to leave quietly, or do you want a more public resolution?" I told her I wasn't interested in blowing up his life just for drama, but I also didn't want to just slink away while he and his mother painted me as the paranoid, unstable wife who couldn't handle being married to a successful man. She nodded and said, "Then we'll make sure your side is documented. If there's a separation, we control the narrative with the people who matter to you and your daughter." I thought I knew what that meant. I didn't plan the family dinner right away. That came later, after one final straw. About a month after I found the first email, Linda came over to talk. She sat at my kitchen table, folded her hands, and gave me this performative, concerned mom face. "I've noticed you've been off lately." She started. "Cold, moody, pushing Mark away. He told me you've been snooping and accusing him. That's not healthy, dear." I just looked at her. "What exactly did he say?" She sighed dramatically. "Just that you've been going through his things, questioning where he is all the time, bringing up money. You know how stressful his job is. Do you really want to be that kind of wife? The kind that drives her husband into a corner?" I almost laughed. The way she said, "drives her husband into a corner," like cheating was a natural escape route, not a choice. Then she said the line that snapped something in me. Men are going to do what they do. A smart woman knows when to turn a blind eye and focus on the bigger picture. Stability, family, your daughter having a father in the home. You don't want to end up divorced and alone like those bitter women online, do you? I felt this weird calm again. I realized she genuinely believed what she was saying. In her mind, cheating was annoying but manageable. Divorce, on the other hand, was a failure. I said very evenly, "So if Mark is cheating on me, your advice is to pretend it isn't happening?" She flinched just slightly. "I'm not saying he is. I'm saying hypothetically, if you drive him away with your suspicion, you'll regret it. You have a good life here. Don't throw it away over feelings." I thought about the $2,500 he'd thrown away on a weekend with another woman. I thought about the hotel confirmation she'd booked for them. I pictured Lily's face when she ran to the door yelling, "Daddy," every evening. That's when I decided I wasn't just going to quietly leave. I was going to make sure the story they liked to tell about me being unstable and Mark being the perfect son didn't survive. I didn't want screaming or drama. I wanted cold, undeniable facts in front of the exact people they cared about impressing. Which is why I said, "You know what, Linda? You're right. We should all focus on family more. Maybe we should have a family dinner soon. Like, everyone. Your side, Mark's siblings, whoever you want there. It's been a while." She brightened immediately. "See, that's the spirit. I'll organize something. Maybe next month I'll host." I smiled. "Perfect. I'll help." She had no idea she just scheduled her own humiliation. The next few weeks were weirdly peaceful on the surface. Mark seemed almost relieved. I wasn't asking him where he was. I wasn't picking fights. If anything, I was nicer. He took it as proof that his mother's lecture had fixed me. He even brought me flowers one night. "Thought you deserved something nice," he said, handing them to me with that smile I used to find charming and now found almost comically fake. I thanked him. I put the flowers in a vase. Later, I took a photo of them and sent it to my lawyer with the caption, "Peace offering while still cheating." She wrote back, "Classic. Stay the course." Behind the scenes, I kept planning. I asked Linda for the guest list for her family dinner. I suggested we invite Mark's siblings. He has an older brother and a younger sister, plus their partners and kids, plus Linda's sister and her husband. I even suggested inviting Mark's uncle, who he always tries to impress because he's the only one in the family who understands success. Linda ate it up. In her mind, I was finally investing in the family unit. The night before the dinner, I moved all my important documents and a small suitcase to my mom's house. I also moved some of Lily's favorite toys and clothes. My mom knew everything by then. She'd offered to let me move in whenever I was ready. I also transferred half of what was left in our joint account into my new separate account. Legally, I was entitled to it. My lawyer had been very clear. By the morning of the dinner, my exit plan was ready. My documents were safe. I had a place to go. I had legal advice lined up. I had evidence backed up in 3 different places. All that was left was the reveal. The dinner was exactly what you'd expect from a family like theirs. Linda had gone all out. Fancy table settings. Roasted something. Wine glasses polished within an inch of their lives. She wore a dress that was definitely new and kept making comments about how we have to show everyone what a strong family looks like. I got Lily dressed in a little floral dress. Mark wore a button-down shirt and kept squeezing my shoulder in this performative way like we were a team. I let him. People arrived. There was small talk, jokes about traffic, comments about how you two must be so tired with a toddler. Linda made a weird comment about how not all women are cut out for marriage and motherhood, but some rise to the occasion. I let that one slide too. After dinner, when everyone was settled in the living room with dessert, Linda clapped her hands. "Okay, everyone, quiet down," she said. "We have a little family slideshow to share. Just some recent photos. I thought it would be nice." This was something we'd done before at holidays. Photos of the kids, old family pictures, mildly embarrassing shots of Mark in braces. Nobody suspected anything. What Linda didn't know was that I'd taken advantage of her lack of tech skills. 2 days before, when she asked me to help her organize the slideshow on her laptop, I'd offered to handle it since you're so busy cooking. She happily handed it over. I created a normal slideshow, pictures of Lily, group photos from previous holidays, some harmless, candid shots of everyone. I put those first. Then, near the end, I added 4 extra slides, all with black backgrounds and white captions. The first one just said, "Sometimes family photos don't show the whole story." The next slide was the airdropped photo of Mark kissing Jess at the hotel bar. I timed it so there was a pause of a few seconds between slides, just long enough for people to really see it. So we're all sitting there. The kids are on the floor, the adults are on couches and chairs. The first few slides are adorable. Lily with cake on her face, Mark's niece at her dance recital. Linda wipes a fake tear and says, "We're so blessed." Then the black slide appears. Everyone squints. The next slide appears. Silence. You could have heard a fork hit the carpet. Mark froze. He went pale. Linda actually stood up a little, like she was going to rush the TV, then realized she'd look insane. His uncle leaned forward and said, "Is that Mark?" Mark stammered, "What the? This isn't funny." Before he could lunge for the laptop, the next slide came up. A screenshot of the email from Linda to Mark with the hotel confirmation and the line, "I put it on my card so it doesn't raise any red flags at home. Just pay me back later." Then the last slide, a simple text that said, "I was told to turn a blind eye for the sake of family. This is my family, too." I got up. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "I'm sorry to ambush everyone like this," I said. "But I've been made to feel like I'm paranoid, ungrateful, and unstable for months. I've been told that if I just ignored what was happening, we'd have a strong family. I wanted you all to see what's actually been going on." Linda finally found her voice. "Turn that off. This is completely inappropriate. This is a private matter." I looked right at her. "You made it a family matter when you used family money and your own credit card to help your son cheat on his wife." Her older son, James, stood up too. He looked equal parts disgusted and fascinated. "Is this real?" he asked Mark. "Tell me this isn't real." Mark opened and closed his mouth like a fish. Then he defaulted to his usual line. "It's not what it looks like. Jess is just a friend. Mom was just helping you cheat," I cut in. "I have all the emails. I have the receipts. This isn't a misunderstanding." His sister Rachel said, "Oh my God, Mark." The room started buzzing. Linda tried to regain control. "This is exactly what I meant," she said loudly. "You're trying to destroy this family over a mistake, over feelings. We handle things privately. We don't humiliate each other." I looked at her. "You mean like calling me paranoid and telling your son I'm driving him away? Like telling me to turn a blind eye so he can keep doing whatever he wants? That kind of family loyalty?" She glared at me like I'd slapped her. "You're being dramatic," she said. "You have a child together. Are you really going to blow that up because he got a little carried away? Men make mistakes. You work through them." I felt something in me just click off. Any desire I had to appeal to her sense of decency disappeared. I said, very calmly, "I'm not blowing up anything. Mark did that when he used our savings to fund hotel weekends with his coworker. You helped. I'm just refusing to keep lying about it for your comfort." James looked at his mother. "You used your card? You knew?" She snapped, "You don't understand marriage. When you've been married as long as I have, you know how things work." His uncle, the one Mark always tried to impress, shook his head slowly. "What exactly are you proud of here, Linda? Teaching your son to be dishonest and expect his wife to roll over?" Mark finally snapped. "You're loving this, aren't you?" he said to me. "You've always hated my mom. You've been waiting for a chance to turn everyone against us." I stared at him. "Yeah, Mark, that's exactly it. I spent months crying alone, wondering if I was crazy, just so I could eventually make a PowerPoint about your hotel points." A few people snorted at that. Even Rachel, who looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. I took a deep breath. "For the record," I said to the room, "I didn't bring this up before I had my own ducks in a row. I've spoken to a lawyer. I've moved my important documents and some of Lily's things to my mom's house. I've documented everything. I'm not asking anyone here to pick a side. I just refuse to keep being the crazy one in a story you two were writing." I looked at Mark. "I'm taking Lily with me tonight," I said. "We'll stay at my mom's. You can contact me through my lawyer. You'll get to see her. I'm not cutting you off from your child. But this marriage is over." Linda sputtered. "You can't just take my granddaughter and—" She's not your granddaughter in a possession sense, I cut in. She's a person, and she doesn't need to grow up thinking this is what love looks like. There was an awkward beat. Then Rachel stood up and came over to me. If you need help carrying anything to your car, I'll help, she said quietly. That almost made me cry. I nodded. James said to Mark, dude, you need to leave her alone and give her what she asks for. You messed up. Mom, you too. Stop acting like you're the victim. Linda gasped, like he'd slapped her. I didn't stick around for more. I went to the hallway, grabbed Lily's little backpack and my purse, and picked her up from where she was playing with her cousins. She was confused but excited for a sleepover at Nana's. Mark followed me to the door, hissing, "You're making a mistake. We can work this out. Don't be crazy." I turned around and met his eyes. "I was crazy," I said, "for trusting you. That's over." Then I left. That was 6 months ago. The fallout was messy, but not as catastrophic as I thought it might be. Mark tried the usual things at first. Love bombing, apologies. It was just physical. I was stressed. It didn't mean anything. When that didn't work, he switched to anger. I was destroying our family. I was brainwashing Lily by not bringing her to his mother's house. His mother left me a few voicemails about what I was doing to my child and how I'd regret being this vindictive when I was older and alone. I saved them. My lawyer said they were useful, actually, if Linda ever tried anything regarding visitation. Over time, Mark calmed down when he realized I wasn't bluffing. Once he stopped trying to manipulate me and started listening to his attorney, things got more straightforward. We're in the process of separating assets now. I won't lie and say I came out of it like some sitcom character who gets everything and walks away smiling. It's been hard. Money is tight. I'm tired all the time. Co-parenting with someone I don't trust is stressful. But I have a decent custody arrangement. I have financial support. The house situation is messy, but my lawyer fought like hell to make sure I'm not just tossed out with nothing. We'll see how it shakes out. As for the family dynamic, it shifted. James and Rachel both reached out privately to apologize for their mom's behavior and Mark's actions. They said they'd had their own issues with Linda being controlling, but never realized how far she'd go. They still have relationships with their mom, but it's strained. There's more questioning now when she says things, less automatic worship. From what I've heard, Mark and Linda tell a very different version of events in some circles. In their story, I'm a cold, unforgiving woman who destroyed a good marriage over a fling. I've stopped trying to control that narrative. The people I care about know the truth. I have evidence if I ever need it. The affair with Jess fizzled out pretty quickly after the reveal. Shocking, I know. I'm pretty sure she didn't sign up to be the other woman in a messy, public family drama. Last I heard, she transferred to a different department. Sometimes I still get angry when I think about the hotel thing. Not just the cheating, but the logistics of it. The planning, the way they used my lack of tech knowledge and my trust against me. The way Linda framed it as protecting the family while helping him betray it. But mostly I feel relief. I'm not constantly checking his location or analyzing every late text. I'm not trying to convince myself I'm overreacting while my gut screams at me. The mental load of managing suspicion is gone. Lily is young enough that she doesn't fully understand what's happening. She just knows she has 2 homes now, and that mommy and daddy aren't together. I'm trying to model calm, consistent behavior for her. No bad-mouthing him in front of her, no oversharing. One day, when she's older and she inevitably asks why we split, I'll tell her something simple and honest. Your dad made choices that hurt our family, and I chose not to live in a situation where I was disrespected. Adults are responsible for their actions. If I'm honest, the revenge wasn't the slideshow or the public reveal. That was just clarity. The real revenge is that they don't get to keep the story they tried to force me into. I'm not the paranoid, dramatic wife who almost ruined a perfect marriage. I'm the person who looked at the truth, made a plan, and walked away with my head up, even when it was hard. They can spin whatever version they want in their echo chamber. Meanwhile, I'm building a life that doesn't require me to ignore reality to keep the peace. If anyone reading this is in a situation where you're being told you're crazy or paranoid or too emotional for noticing genuine red flags, please hear this. Documenting reality is not crazy. Protecting yourself is not dramatic. Making a plan is not destroying the family. You didn't choose the betrayal. You're just choosing what to do with it. And if someone ever tells you to turn a blind eye for the sake of family, remember that you and your kids are part of that family too.